That's Ed again. Thanks for coming, comrade.
You're welcome. Good morning, yourself.
Well, the huge, and I remember that we had this weeks back, but we need to protest to it. So looking at the some media bill that the actions that created it. What's your opinion about this? Is it a bill could really be seen and regulate the social media platforms?
Well, if you ask me, this is clearly a manifestation of mutual suspicion. Whatever has played out in the last few weeks or so is a clear expression or demonstration of mutual suspicion between the governed and the governor. If the people were sure that government had good intention, the hue and cry that had created this may not have been this much. You hardly can pick out any that has been made for the people and not for the governor, so as to go as easy if it needs suppressing people. I think that is what is doing. And as usual, I start saying no. See that there's been a lot of sentiment on both sides. Of those that are being governed, there's also some. I also think that while we sit here, we have that responsibility to try to balance up issues. In the first session we had on this matter, yes, is the social media space a potential platform for discord, initiating and propagating discord? The clear answer is yes. I remember that the last time I gave copious examples of incidents, outside of this country where that had been over time demonstrated. I remember mentioning clearly, the Peace Board shooting in the U.S. That happened in the synagogue with a view, again, what was the reason for it? The fear that the Jews were beginning to dominate America and the allow social media. Again, if you look in New Zealand, the mosque shooting, I also mentioned that the other time here. Okay. It also related to social media. In fact, the idea was that the young man was going to do that shoot and broadcast it live on YouTube. This again is social media related. We also talked about the clergy in Charleston again in the U.S. Again, it was social media instigated. So yes, there was a potential, but having said this, the sincerity of government is also questionable. That's why I said it's a case of mutual suspicion. If you have time, in several other climes, the social media space is regulated. But the determination that the right of the people is also not suppressed.
Okay.
That is what we cannot guarantee in Nigeria, because Artisan has shown that once laws like this are passed, it is going to be used rather than to help the people, but to suppress the people. There are bills of this nature in a place like France, for instance, where social media space is, for instance, providers are told you must pull down every offensive post within 24 hours, or you risk paying a fine of as much as 1,250,000 euro.
Okay.
That obtains in a place like France, and also in the U.S. There are arrests like this. Oh, in the U.S., the service providers are not held liable. I mean, you could publish anything as an article in a newspaper if it is known to be defaming, and the newspaper knows, or you say it on TV. The TV house or the newspapers are held liable. But in the U.S., the social media space is more or less free. The providers are not held liable. But in several clients, the providers are held liable for what they are allowed to remain on.
Provider who is held liable?
Well, I mean, again, this takes us to another issue. You see, what we have here is that we have multiplicity. We just try to duplicate issues.
Yeah.
I also mentioned here the last time, and I said, if you make any statement that is provocative or inciting, there are enabling laws already. It is this what we take delight in duplicate, just as we duplicate laws, and yet they are not effective. It is the one country where create EFCC and create ICPC, they have conflicting functions, and yet corruption is still thriving heavily. It is the one place where you have things like the VIO. I think we already have enough. Whether you're doing media through the print, there are already enabling laws that can be invoked to action whoever area.
Okay. Thank you. Let's get a civil society perspective to this.
I think, as you have said earlier, it's like mutual suspicion, which is the basic of this whole argument, this back and forth argument. But be that as it may, I think the reason why government is doing this is to actually gag the social media. I think that's
you see it as that.
That's just the reason why they are doing this, because
that's your opinion.
It is my opinion, and
you are saying it that.
It is
but again, I want you to also look in the direction of the dangers inherent, if not regulated.
I will also address that. But we must look at the underlying factor. We must look at the remote reason why government is doing this, because you see, Nigerian government are not. They are not always comfortable when being criticized, and that's what we have seen over time. When you talk about maybe bad rules,
is it the Nigerian government or Nigerians?
Nigerian government
are you taking the citizens out of it?
No, see, I'm not taking the citizens out of it, but we are addressing an issue between the people
and the government. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, it's not a general issue we are looking at.
So you're looking at the political class.
Good, and that's about government side. When you raise some critical issues, instead of to address issues, then look at to shut you down. Part of saying this thing that we better governance. This has been their practice over the years. The social media platform, yes, it has brought some level of freedom. A platform, most times still don't have the to access the conventional media. So most times they use this social media to draw government attention to one thing or the other, to also critique a government. And these are some of the things that makes democracy tick.
Okay.
And in Nigeria, a kind of that, I think is a superhero, that he is not prone to mistakes or shortfalls. So when you raise some issues, then see it as you are trying to put down the government popularity or something. But that is not here. We must look at it from a perspective where citizens actually participate in their own government and deploy the use of social media to express themselves. Again, some persons usually abuse social media platform.
Yes.
That's where this regulation
is coming in.
But using death penalty as a kind of punitive measure to deter people from abusing social media, I think that is way off something that every sane man should think of. Because we have greater things to contend with as a nation. Okay. Same persons have not deemed it proper to enact laws that will assess or put it in place that will bring speech. That is one of the things that Nigerians are.
You still have the floor, but if we are to look in the direction of what you are saying now,
yes.
You seem to the problem you bill of death penalty.
There are two bills.
I'm talking about
not just death penalty.
I'm talking about the hate speech bill because you brought that up.
I'm looking at priorities, give priority to what matters most in Nigeria today. Is the hate speech bill. This is what we're looking at for social development. These are some of the questions that we are, because some of these leaders, it's when some of these things is directly affecting them that you see them taking steps. But when it is a common man, you don't see them passing laws that will better the lives of the common man. But when it comes to their own personal interest, for instance, the money they receive as salary and all manner of allowances, I will see them talking not. When it comes to sharing money, they do as Igbo, Hausa, and Yoruba any longer. When it comes to bring the see all of them come together quickly to pass such a law.
Okay, but looking at what you are just saying, let's posit a better understanding of what you're saying.
Yes.
Now, regulating the social media, do you see it as a bad development?
There are laws already. That should take care of things like blackmail, libel, and all whatnot. There are laws already put in place. The criminal code is there. The Cybercrime Act is there. Other laws are there that have taken care of all these things.
So there isn't.
The reason why they are doing this is because the way are reacting to some issues in this country, and there's no way you can gag the social media. The people have a right to express themselves, and they want to tighten it. Maybe some of those laws maybe prescribed maybe 2 years, 6 months, and all of that. They are not comfortable with that. Okay. Maybe they felt that is not enough to gag the social media. So they want to come with something so rich that even when you think about it, you will even be afraid. Say,
except of course that the conventional media will be very, very weary in carrying such speeches, so to say. But I think it's also important for us to draw a line clearly between hate speech as it is seen
Yes.
in the more developed democracies and offensive and abusive speech. In a place like US, these are two separate things. In advanced democracy, offensive and abusive speeches as known, are believed to be helpful to democracy.
Offensive and abusive speeches.
Are known to be helpful to democracy.
But you said in developed politics.
Yeah, I'm coming.
Ours is developing.
No, I'm coming. We borrowed our democracy from there, and we should be working towards there. It simply means...
But don't forget that we have a different background. We have heterogeneous background.
I'm coming.
That seems to be fragile.
I'm coming. It simply implies that if I, as your leader, I am not doing well, and you are aware that I could call the bluff off you, you would sit up. And that's why people can say all manner of things in developed societies. But when you say hate speech, it is targeted at a particular people group.
Okay.
That's the difference. If you incite violence against, for instance, women, if you incite violence, for instance, against any ethnic group, then that is regarded as hate speech. It is targeted at cleaning up or making less relevant, so to say, a particular people group.
If it's targeted government, it's not seen as speech.
That is seen as abusive.
Okay.
That is seen as it could be offensive and yet not categorized as hate speech. That's the way it operates outside of this place. So we must first of all draw that line.
But whoever does that will have to go in for it.
Whoever does what?
Yes, in the developed polity, for those who use abusive, offensive speeches.
Oh, come on. Haven't you seen America's called Trump all manner of names?
And they don't go in for it.
That's abusive speech. That's is offensive to you, but it's not regarded as hate speech. Because it is intended to call you to order. You don't want to be called bad names.
Do the right
sit
thing.
up. There was a time where people, published on the internet. If you put in, at that time, they said if you put in the name of Trump, if you type in food, that the face that will pop up will be Trump. And people publicize that. That's offensive. That's abusive. But it was never regarded as hate speech. So we must draw that line. The issue of death penalty, doesn't arise whatsoever. By whatever means that you have made your speech, whether it is by social media or by whatever, the issue of death penalty does not arise. I mean, again, we must be honest with ourselves. People are trying to run away from capital punishment in developed societies, and we are running into capital punishment. It just not add up. But I haven't said this. I also think that the people who are posting whatever they are posting should also have the sense of responsibility and decency to know what to post and what not to post. One of the dangers for instance, in a place like France, just in July, where they passed their bill on social media regulation. The question that people are asking is, why are you taking so much power from the court and putting the social media to determine what is criminal and what is not criminal? Because by that bill passed in France, the providers were mandated to take down anything offensive within 24 hours. That means you have equally made them the courtroom. They can decide what is offensive and what is not offensive. And that was putting so much power in the hands of the provider. It was also provided in that same bill that people were free to report that this is criminal. And so once you get that report, take down what is there. But those who are also reporting, this is where the responsibility comes in. If I'm also going to report, for instance, to Facebook and say, hey, that post is criminal, take it down. And I have reported. And if that report was done in bad faith, I am also liable to be sentenced for 1 year in prison or to pay a fine of 15,000 euro for misleading the service provider to have taken down a bill that otherwise was not criminal in nature. So these balances are there. But in our society, the people are not protected. That is the worry. That is the fear. You do not want a situation where people take the social media space, like I told somebody a while ago, and people say, well, this is a privately sponsored bill. Both bills were privately sponsored. And if you ask me, the owl cried in the night and the baby died in the morning. And then you're asking who killed the baby. The Minister of Information had never hidden it, that he was going to clamp down on social media space. And all of a sudden, 2 bills are coming out that are not sponsored by government. And the reason is simple. They know that if this came as an executive bill, the people will cry more. So let's push it through as a privately sponsored bill.
Okay. I think that's your opinion anyway.
Yeah. Well, like I said, the owl cried in the morning, in the night, and the baby died in the morning.
Okay.
I mean, we can wait between.
But I'll come back to you. Now, let's look at the digital right bill that was refused assent by the president, which is supposed to protect the fundamental rights of Nigerians in the internet, working on the internet. Do you see this as a politically motivated attempt by the executive to sponsor these bills using the legislators?
You see, my assessment of the Nigerian government has been that most of the things they do are not usually for the benefit of the masses. It has always been, that's my own assessment over time, that whatever the government is doing is not usually for the benefit of the common man. It is when it is their own interest that you see them accelerate some of these laws or bring up laws that will favor them. Like the 2000 the 7.5% VAT that was increased. Is that not going to favor the government and to the disadvantage of the people? But see how it was rushed in passage. Now, these are some of the things I've noticed over the years. Such a bill that's supposed to protect the rights of citizens. What happened to it? It has been rejected, right? Was it accepted to?
For now.
For now, it has not been accepted to. Good. Now, such a bill is supposed to be accepted to by Mr. President and protect the rights of citizens.
Okay, but again, don't you like what the president said? There are technicalities involved that are not really clear. Don't you think being a developing polity, if you give that space to the citizens, they could also affect the fragile peace that we have as a nation, having a heterogeneous background?
Why are they always speculating things that are not there? Who creates more tension in Nigeria more than politicians? Who? When during the election period, see what they say all the time. The same president during 2015 election, I mean, was it before 2015, where he said the bamboo and the whatever will soak in blood because if he loses the election. Now, what is more horrible than such a statement? Who creates more tension in Nigeria more than our political leaders?
It depends on the context you're picking it from. That may not basically mean what he meant.
And indeed, they were soaked in blood.
I know you may want to try to play some of these things because we are on air. There are certain things we cannot say on air. But the truth remains that politicians are the ones that causes even the ethnic divide we face today in Nigeria. They are the cause of all these things. Before now, Nigerians...
when you say politicians, are you generalizing?
Politicians...
Or some politicians?
Most of them, because these are some of the antics they use in winning election, by dividing us along ethnic and religious line. Most times, when it is election time, you see them, that is when they will remember that they belong to a certain ethnic group, that the other ethnic group is against them. You see them playing ethnic cards just to call the people. And these things they do every time have a way of dividing this nation.
But again, as a way of digressing anyway, again, even those who vote them into power also play to the gallery. It's not just the political class or the ruling class.
When you continue to hear a particular thing over and over again, before you know it, you start your behaviors, your attitude start tilting towards that direction.
That's psychology.
When somebody begins to tell you that, look, we are not one, we are divided, these people are against us, whether you like it or not, within a period of time, you start thinking towards that direction. And that's exactly what our politicians are doing to us. Talking about the eighth speech bill again.
Yes.
What law that we excite in Nigerians, it is when they make corruption, death penalty as punishment. If they will do that, I know they will not do that. Let corruption, if you are caught stealing public funds, death penalty should be the sentence. I am sure the lawmakers, they wouldn't want to go that way.
Okay, but if you are citing that, you are just trying to streamline the corruption tendencies you are talking about, because corrupt tendencies could be broad, not necessarily stealing public funds. It could also mean taking bribe,
nepotism,
or giving bribe. So can't we expand the scope?
If you are making a law, of course, all these things you mentioned, all will be embedded in the law. That
so it's going to affect the government.
It will affect them, definitely. But
No. It's going to affect the government and the government.
But because they are much in all these things that we have highlighted, of course, they wouldn't want to do it because maybe some of the things that even the government does, maybe they should pay government by way of taxation, by way of maybe vote buying and all whatnot. But the one they do to us is much more than what we do to them.
Okay.
I mean to the government. That will make them not to pass the bill because we know how much of our public funds go into private pockets in this country. We know how much of nepotism, how much nepotism that go on in ministries, MDAs and agencies in Nigeria. We know how much of projects that have been paid for that are not executed in this country. Is it the NDDC we are talking about, or Super Deck, or even some of these agencies that execute projects? All these things are all out there. How many of them will agree to pass a law to make death penalty on such projects that if a project fails, you'll be killed or hanged, just like the way they are doing in China? Will they pass such a law?
Okay.
Why on hate speech?
Okay, but just for purpose of information, a point of information, the sponsor of that bill, Abdullahi Sabi, is really buying the pressure now and saying that the bill will be remodified to take away or eliminate that part of death penalty as a punishment for the highest offender. But let's come to what Eddie Ginn said, looking at the other side, taking corruption, using death penalty on corruption. If you want to broaden the scope, won't the government be affected also? Is that the right way to go?
Well, Is
death penalty ever good for any punishment?
Well, to be honest with you, I am not an advocate of
death penalty.
Don't also forget that all of these laws can be abused. You could also finger or target the perceived political opponent,
okay,
and then accuse the person of corruption. We know the way our judicial system runs. Person is tried within 2 hours, and then the person is sentenced to death, and then he dies.
Okay.
Don't forget the way Kensaro died in this country against the cry of so many people, including the international community. So I do not think in my mind that death penalty is the way to go. But having also said that, it is shameful, for instance, that a public officer could steal so much. Now, that's my pain. Could steal so much, and then he goes to the courtroom and he's sentenced. Maybe you give him a sentence of 2 years or 3 years, and then you say with an option of fine.
Or fine, because that can be possible.
With fine, he can pay from his pocket.
You even plea bargain. You don't talk about plea bargain.
Yeah, you know, with fine he can pay. Plea bargain is even sometimes more costly than the one they pay from the pocket. You know, that's on one hand. But more worrisome is the fact that somebody can be this corrupt, and then today you label this person as black, as corrupt, as terrible, and then the next moment he comes over to your party, and then you say well, he's not born again, and all his sins are forgiven because he has the camp. So we just make the whole world laugh at us.
Exactly.
The way we treat the corruption issue. And if I must be honest with you, no government, including the present administration, I made bold to say this on air, has been honest and sincere in the fight against corruption. And that's look at all those who are now the big wigs in the ruling party. There are people that yesterday were classified by this same party as thieves and rogues. And we are told that they ran down this country. But today they are the celebrated big wigs in the same political party. And for someone as highly placed as national chairman to say, well, once you have crossed over, your sins are forgiven, is the height of irresponsibility. You know, so to my mind, corruption, we have laws that deal with corruption. The challenge is that they are not allowed to work. EFCC is an agency of government. ICP, as I said a while ago, will duplicate things, and yet will give effect to none of them. These are agencies of government, and unfortunately, supposedly independent, they are not independent, because they still take directives straight, as it were, from from the president. So, for my mind, we are not. I mean, I think we actually have digressed, but we are not honest at all in our fight against corruption.
Okay.
But with respect to social media space regulation, like I said earlier, if all of this coming back to my opening statement, it is a climax of mutual suspicion. I mean, you keep hearing him say again and again, government does not ever make law for the people. And I agree with him. And I said history has also proven that. The Electoral Amendment Bill was never passed. Excuse was given. We know that if that bill was passed, we wouldn't be having the issues we still have with the election, right? At least it would have been seriously minimized. That was never passed. The agitation for minimum wage went on for years. And then, close to the election, it was passed. And it's taken several months. All right, several months for implementation. And they are working on the template. Okay. All right. But if it was a bill that empowers government, no legislator resumed office today as newly sworn legislator. On his report in Abuja, as he's reporting, he's giving his fact up front, on the spot. You know, so the mutual distrust will always be there because we have not proven as a people, as a government has not demonstrated that the laws that are made are really for the people and not for government. Okay,
let's look at the way forward because there must be a balance. There must be a time where the government has to walk in the direction where the citizenry will be happy for it. Now, what do you see as a right model for government in bringing about a balance in the social media platforms?
I think what is raising this whole issue is because government is not sincere. The people we have at the aims of affairs are not sincere with us. And that is why they want to ensure they shut every one of us up so we cannot speak up.
But you may be wrong in that aspect.
No, I'm not wrong.
Now let's put more to guide you. What I expect from you is to talk about the laws. Are we going to go back to the laws you said that we have status quo?
Let me give
or should we kind of refurbish the bill?
You see, if we are, as Prof said, there are so many of these laws out there. Giving effect to them has become a problem. Even the anti-corruption fight we are talking about, the laws that they did to fight corruption was just like, let's not look as if there's no law put in place to fight corruption. Is it actually fighting corruption? Is that law? Is it the EFCC or the SBI? Is those laws actually fighting corruption? These are the questions we must go back to answer, not to talk about creating more laws.
So the social media bill should be jettisoned?
Because the
hate speech bill should be jettisoned?
It looks as if it is targeted at the people.
Yes.
That is the problem
with
these two laws. For instance, if we must make progress, you are aware in this state that we went to court using the FOI Act to ask questions about some abandoned police stations in this state. The court ruled against us that we don't have right to ask the state government, that the FOI Act is not applicable to state governments. Not just that, we were asked to pay the sum of 30,000 naira for them to ask such a question. Meanwhile, the state government has refused to put in place a similar law that will give citizens power to ask questions on accountability and transparency. Now, what do we make of that as a citizen? It shows that the government is not ready to make laws that will favor the people. But when it comes to making laws that has to do with taxation, they are very swift in doing that. When it comes to making laws that will create another, give them another empowerment to tax people on any other thing, they are very swift in doing that.
Okay, but when you say that these bills, or when they become laws, seem to be targeted at the people.
Exactly.
Now, have you also forgotten the fact that the citizens have their fundamental rights as human beings to also seek legal redress?
When you say citizens, a lot of our people are not that, how do I put it, they don't have that level of enlightenment, that level of strength to fight to that extent you are talking about.
Is that not where you come in as a civil society activist?
It is the civil society that takes up some of these things that a lot of people are not aware of. Just yesterday, some of our colleagues were attacked in the school because they went to ask why his principal was collecting some illegal fees. They attacked them. You and I are not aware that things like that are happening. They are carrying out immunization now, vaccination. Some corrupt practices are taking place in some of these health centers. Our comrades are in some of these health centers trying to correct some of those things. A lot of people don't know that they are doing all of this. It is only the civil society. These are conscious who for themselves to speak on others. Not that they are special citizens.
And you are getting results from it.
But it's not to the extent we wanted. For instance, we have devised other methods to push this thing down the grassroots. That's why we have even decided to do some what we call study centers at community levels, where we teach citizens about their rights. Still, it's still very slow. We don't experience the type of growth we expected. That, to the extent that we want citizens to be able to ask questions. When there's a road construction in your area, as citizens, you should be able to ask some information, some vital information concerning that project. But most times, you see, most citizens, they sort of care about things like that because the consciousness is not there. So talking about legal redress, it's only the civil society that can still do that. But in some other society, you see citizens coming together at community level.
Okay.
Only government accountable.
Okay.
But Nigeria of today, we have not grown to that extent.
Okay.
Even when civil society try to correct some of these hills, you see some of these political jobbers come attacking civil society because of their personal interest. They are not interested in what you are saying. For instance, when we raised the issue of the one I raised about the school, we raised in social media yesterday. Some persons were saying that civil society went to invade the school. Imagine such a statement from some supposedly enlightened person saying civil society went to invade a school because of their personal interests. They are seen how to ridicule such a noble cause that civil society tried to carry out to ensure that students are not extorted, to ensure that corruption don't thrive in some of these schools. But some persons are lashing back at civil society.
Okay.
These are a whole lot of issues confronting us as a people.
Okay, let's look at the social media bill again. Now, there has been this buzz over what the government is targeting at, government targeting at the people. But again, let's look at the need for us to have a polity that is devoid of negative criticism. Now, the government isn't saying that you shouldn't criticize its activities. What is expected that it should be constructive. Now, you made mention of the fact that, well, even the president of America being abused, using offensive words against the president. Now, does it amount to anything positive for the polity? Shouldn't we be looking at the need to remove all of these offensive and violent words that are capable of taking down the unity of this country?
Offensive, not violent. Offensive, not violent. We must draw a line between the two.
Okay.
Violence is not to be incited, but offensive language, yes, in advanced democracy. I mean,
offensive language is allowed in advanced democracy.
You can be offensive and not violent. Offensive means that you didn't like what I told you.
Okay.
That doesn't mean that I was violent.
Yeah.
Okay, but doesn't it build emotions that are negative?
I'm coming there. The question we should be asking ourselves is, why is this coming up now? The most abused, insulted president of this country was Goodluck Jonathan.
Yeah.
Most abused, most insulted by the same people now who are in power. You never heard the man one day say, why are you talking to me that way? Again, it boils down to the fact that when you have clear conscience, you don't fear too many things. You know, my position has always been this: some responsibility should be imposed on the social media space. I've said this again and again on this platform. I don't have any problem regulating the social media space, but I have a problem with the sincerity of government, and I have also have a lot of problem with how do you ensure that this is achieved without, because remember where I started from, at the heart of every regulation is the guarantee of the fundamental right of expression of the people. If while you are trying to regulate, you are taking that right away, please stop your regulation. That to my mind is fundamental.
Okay.
There should never be any regulation that impinges, as it were, on the right of the people to express their mind. No matter what law you are going to make, if it's going to pin down on the people's right to call you to order, then please do away with it. Now let me commend Senator Sabi Abdullahi for honorably
buying to pressure.
You know, for at least listen to the voice of reasoning and withdrawing the hate speech bill as proposed. And I advise him he should just keep it where he's keeping it right now.
It shouldn't come up.
And don't bring it up again because when did we start hearing things like hate speech other than this administration? I mean, I'm a professor. I never heard hate speech come to the fore until this administration. And the height of it was sometime in June 2017, just about 2 years ago here, where some group of Northern youth issued an ultimatum that Easterners should vacate within 3 months, otherwise fails extermination. That was the heat of it all. So we know where all of these things are coming from.
And to date, those guys have not been
nothing
arrested.
happened. I would say there were no laws in place as at that time that would have been able to deal with that issue and nip it at the bud. So for my mind, this is a jamboree. And if it was serious and sincere about what we're doing, there are better ways of achieving results. Why do we have the National Orientation Agency if our people cannot be given proper orientation as to how to do things? Again, like I said, we have agencies who earn money and yet do nothing. How many Nigerians believe in Nigeria and yet you have a National Orientation Agency? How many people would say, well, I have a duty to this nation not to incite violence, and yet we say we have a National Orientation Agency? I think the National Orientation Agency should pick up her responsibility and properly educate Nigerians. And again, the political class, like he had rightly mentioned, have a lot to do. A whole lot of the dividing in this country are initiated and propagated by the political class. And unfortunately, those people who are the followers are the ones who are works hit, and they are the ones that are used, and at the end of the day, they are the ones who also die in the process.
Okay.
So in my mind, as a way of trying to wrap up what I've been saying, we can't regulate the social media space. But at the heart of that regulation must be the guarantee that the right to expression must be 100% intact. But back to what he said on social media, civil society invading school compound, I'm never going to side with you on that.
Okay.
Never, because again, it will, if it's not public control, will also degenerate to lawlessness. Because the school is responsible to a ministry. If you say civil society went to the ministry to report that the inspector of chief inspector of education in charge of that locality, yes, or the commissioner and say, this is what we have heard with proofs, and nothing was done, then I could say then the government has failed. But for you as an individual or as a group to go into the school compound and say, because we heard this, you are neither police nor regulating agency. In my mind, things should be done properly, decently, and following the due process. You should have actually gone to the Ministry of Education and report whatever was happening in such a school.
All right, you mentioned of the civil society group. Now, what words do you have for them in respect of this fight? Because they seem to be the bridge between the people and the governors. Now, this seems to be every now and then they see such opportunity to come out, and they are basically exposed to dangers. Now, what's your advice in this direction for the comrades of the civil society?
Well, first thing first to say that I love the spirit behind what they do. Yeah. Because a society that is devoid of pressure groups is a society that is doomed to fail. I have nothing against civil society, but I also want to appeal to them first that they should also learn, because like you rightly said, they were attacked. And they could have been labeled as anything. And that was also compromise their safety and security. But if they had gone through the proper channel, I think some of those things may also have been avoided. I like what they are doing. They should keep up the pressure, but they should also do their pressure in a civil way, be civil society.
All right, so your reaction is that and the way forward.
You see, over time, most times people don't understand how we work. And people think this is the way we should have done certain things. Yes. But experience has also taught us a lot of things. There are a lot of things we do through ADRO. Because we don't just hit when we get certain information. You must do your underground investigation. Because when you do that, you may end up hurting a person you intend not to hurt.